fun was this just to be your competitive self out there tonight?
It's amazing. I missed it for a long time, and I worked really hard to be able to get back out there. So I'm happy and excited, and look forward to continuing to try and help us win and keep improving.
Yeah, and just what'd you make of the team effort overall? It seemed like great balance on offense, and then great stinginess in the paint defensively.
Yeah, no different than what I expect from ourselves as a team every single night. Everybody knows what we have to go out there and do. The coaches do a great job of helping us prepare for the team that we're going to be playing that night, and tonight was no different. They gave us a great game plan, and I feel like we executed it. Obviously not perfect, but that's why you can always improve.
Chet, I think this was the first week that you were sidelined, but I think the guys said something like you gave them a speech. I think this is around the time that you guys were still in pool play for the Cup. Did you have any sort of speech in your return, any words for the team?
Nah, nothing special, nothing out of the ordinary.
And I guess, obviously, you've had an injury that kept you sidelined for a season before. I guess what was different about the waiting this time, and I guess what did it feel like on your journey back?
Can you repeat that real quick, please?
Yeah, you've had an injury that kept you out for a year before. Just what was different about the waiting this time, and just the road to recovery?
I mean, they're both the same, and they're not fun. Nobody wants to be hurt, obviously, but I'd say it was different because I knew I was going to be coming back this season. It was just a matter of kind of when and, how I'd be getting back out there. And, I got, advice to, don't rush your way back, but then, the other side of me is I really want to play, so... I pushed it as hard as I could push it. The medical staff gave me great advice on how much farther I could go and be safe, and I always kind of towed that line, and I was able to get back sooner than even expected, and I feel good.
I guess what's it like to play the four?
It's gonna evolve over time. Obviously, it's new not only to me but the rest of the team. It's definitely different, but I think every single game, the answer to that question is going to kind of change and evolve more. So,
you mentioned the advice you got with this injury. With the first injury, you had players have dealt with that injury before, but nobody has dealt with the injury that you've had before. This latest injury you've had, was it tough not knowing the process of coming back because nobody has dealt with it before?
Yeah, it was definitely crazy. When I found out I'm the only player to ever break their hip playing basketball in the NBA, I was definitely just kind of blew by it because I was just my luck, But even though you could say it was unlucky, it was still super lucky at the same time. It didn't happen in a way that would affect me long term. If I just kind of listened to the doctor's advice and did my due diligence rehabbing, a couple inches lower, and it could have affected the joint. If the bones had shifted, I could have needed surgery, you know what I'm saying? So, super unlucky, but lucky at the same time. But it wasn't an injury that had never happened before in the world. So, there were really smart doctors that knew what it was and how to treat it. So just followed their advice.
With your initial injury, the Liz Frank one, right before the season, you said something about, to the extent of just paraphrasing, the average loss was 7 points, and you just had to make the team 10 points better. This team has a much higher point differential. What's sort of your approach differently with this time around?
Obviously I play basketball to win. I don't see myself as a losing basketball player and never have been. But also on top of that, coming back, 40 games into a season, with a team that's been playing at a really high level. I was also told that I didn't have to be told either. Like, it's not going to be the Chet Holmgren show. Like, this is the Thunder, whether I had an injury or not. That's what it is. I'm just trying to go out there, help the team win in any way I can, and I'm not expecting to become like a sideshow apart from what our goal is going out there every single night, and that's to win basketball games. And over time, how we do that and what that looks like will evolve and change. But the mission and the goal is the same every single night.
Yeah, Chet, we know this isn't the Chet show, but you've seen the tweets, you've seen the posts. The Thunder faithful missed you. How did it feel just hearing the ovation you got each time you checked into the game tonight?
Man, it's special. When people show that love to you, it's definitely felt, and it's never taken for granted either. I definitely say that's part of why, I wanted to work so hard. There's a lot of different reasons, but I wanted to work so hard to get back and play out there is just because, I really enjoy playing in front of our fans. They, bring their all every single night, and, they show up in a big way for us. So, I definitely felt, obliged to, do my best to get back as soon as possible to play in front of them, on top of just loving to play basketball. So,
Chet, when did you hear the news that you could play, and then what was your first thought or feel about it?
Like the news that I'd be able to play this season?
Yes, I mean today, yeah.
Well, today or this season? Because I knew I'd come back this season early on, but I didn't know.
Yeah,
when.
When did you hear? I mean, when did you get the news that you could play today?
Today? It was like a conversation about like a target range kind of to come back and play, but my rehab was so fluid, just kind of listening to how my body was reacting to different things, that it wasn't until pretty close to today that I knew I was going to be able to play this exact game. But I felt close, and I felt really good for a couple weeks here, and towards the end, the biggest thing was getting back in shape to the point where I could kind of keep up because we play fast. So my body felt great. It was more just kind of getting my lungs back up to speed.
Chet, speaking of playing the four, playing alongside another big period, is there anything from your past basketball career, like playing with Drew Timme, that you can kind of lean on for experience?
Yes and no. That was a long time ago, and I feel like I'm a way different player now than I was at that point in time. And I feel like our team plays different than we did back in college as well, and it's just really different. But I try to learn from every experience that I have out there on the court and kind of parlay it into the next one. So there's definitely things that I've learned back then, but I'm just trying to figure out our situation that we have here and figure out how to make the most of it.
Anybody else? Last one to Joe.
Chet, because this injury was so unique, you mentioned you're the first player to break their hip playing basketball. I guess I wonder what the mental side of your return is like, what it takes to be comfortable in your shoes again to make the play that you made when you got hurt.
Yeah. Early on it was so frustrating, just because it was like why did that happen? You know what I mean? But if I ever get to the point where I'm worried about going out there and I can't just make the winning play without hesitating, you know what I mean? I'll just stop playing because, you can't play basketball at a high level that way. So, I put in a lot of work on my body to, be the healthiest version of myself. And, there's a lot of things that are out of your control out there. There's 9 other people flying around. But I'm also, I control what I can control, and everything else, I don't really worry about it. So, yeah.
And, obviously, I imagine you're under the direction of the medical staff, but do you want to play every game moving forward again? Is that in your interest?
I mean, I'd say I'm more just kind of focused on what's in front of me, and obviously I'm going to listen to the support staff that we have here. We have, what I think is the best in the game. So, we're going to have high-level, intelligent conversations, and it's going to be a tandem. They're going to listen to me. I'm going to listen to them, and we're going to make the best decisions going forward. But I wake up blessed every day to go play basketball, and that's my goal every single day. But there's also a bigger picture there that has to be understood. So.
With free throws and ones and just have that physicality and tenacity rewarded?
It's nice. That answer sucked. No, it's good. It's just something I've been practicing, and I wouldn't even say the trying to get fouled aspect of it. I think a lot of it was like making those and ones anyway. So that was a good. That felt good, just to kind of go out there and do that. It's something that I've been getting better and better at too, just over the course of. It kind of got stunted a little bit because I missed a couple games, but even maybe 5-6 games before that, I'd been going to the line about 7 times a game. So it's just something I'm figuring out, and I think the biggest thing was just trying to make the shots, and then from there, the end one is like a cherry on top. So that's something I've been working on, continue to try and get better at it, and the tape on my hand wasn't really helping, but it worked out today.
I think you were chewing on that at one point too.
I did. Yeah, I didn't want to drop it in the middle of the court. I didn't know what to do with it. I got pulled off.
Just with that in mind, you were talking about just being focused on making the shot. Did you work on some specific finishing techniques through contact or anything like that over the last period of time?
Yeah, before I messed up my wrist, I was doing a lot of just bumps and getting to the point of still finishing them, and that's something that I added in my pregame routine. And just over the course of the season, it's just one of those things that you can get better and better at because you still are working out all the time. So any time that I have extra time to do it, it was something that I'm doing, and then I've been able to work on it with my left hand since I've been out with my right. So I think I'm just adding to it every day, and tonight was one of the times I got to reap the benefit. And I also understand it's not going to be perfect every time, so it's something that I got to be persistent with.
How good was to have Chet back tonight?
That was great. It was weird too, but it was definitely great. I played the 3, which was new. He adds a lot of value to our team, offensively, defensively. I think that was our first time in a while, so it was cool. And having him and Hart out there was just gave us another element of defense we haven't had: rebounding, shot blocking. He's really versatile, being able to guard the wings and be able to switch with us. So it was good. And he doesn't even have his feet under him yet.
You moving to the 3 was my next question. You haven't played. You're closer to your natural position, the 2, in a really long time. Just how'd that feel?
Nice. I've kind of thrown out the idea of my natural position just because I feel I don't want to say it limits me, but it's just I just do so much on the court, or at least I try to, that I've kind of gotten away from that. But it's nice to be able to have that now. It's very new. So coming from Santa Clara playing the point to now being able to kind of do everything, and now we're at that point where we can kind of double big lineup, and I can go back to somewhat of a natural position. Is pretty cool.
You mentioned Chet and Isaiah. Not only for you, does that allow everybody on the perimeter to just be a bit more aggressive because you know what's back there? Does it change?
Yeah, for sure. A lot of times too, it's Chet and Zay are really smart at bumping us out and trying to stay low. They're underrated, good perimeter defenders, and they kind of understand where the help is coming from. So having them both out there together, they don't even have real chemistry yet, and they already look pretty good. So it allows us out there to be more aggressive. We can pick up higher, knowing that they know how to cover for us, and they, if we need to late switch, they can do that too. Hello. Oh.
Go ahead, Derek.
Good save. I'll go home.
Did you feel like some of your finishing success tonight was due to Hartenstein and Chet kind of pulling those 4s and 5s away from the ring?
That probably had something to do with it. I think Chet's gravity, just being able to step out obviously spaces the floor out. I think Hart's just a really good screener, so that obviously puts a lot of pressure on the 5-man when you're in drop. And I mean, I don't know. I think just having them both out there at the same time, I feel like as a defense, it's kind of hard. You don't know what they're going to do because Chet obviously can roll to the rim and step out, and Hart's a good screener. He knows how to get in the pocket. So I think it just adds another level of creativity to our offense.
We had some poor possessions, but then we had a lot of possessions where we played with a lot of force. I thought Dub almost got better in the game with his forceful drives in the second half especially. He really had his head down, did a great job. And then, we've been a good paint team all season, but I thought going big helped that as well. I thought we had a lot of size around the basket, forced them to be a jump shooting team. And they made some shots tonight, but we deterred a lot of stuff around the basket.
Chet was a plus 22 in 22 minutes. Just your thoughts on him being back and also being impactful.
Well, first of all, it ties a bow on his return to play. His return to performance isn't over. It takes a while for a guy that's been out that long, especially a lower body injury, to get himself back to game shape, endurance, rhythm, all those things. And so we'll continue to work with him on probably a week-to-week basis. But it was a great start. And then the other thing I want to point out with him is I just thought he showed great maturity. He did exactly what we've asked him to do in terms of merging back on the highway. And I think the other thing it showed was great respect for the team. The team has played a lot of games without him, had a lot of success. And he came out there tonight and just blended right into what we were doing, didn't try to insert himself. We know he's a great player because of his history, but tonight I showed he was a great teammate. He showed he was a great teammate, and I think he deserves a lot of credit for that. That's hard to do when you're coming back and you're the level of player that he is.
Mark, did you get the sense that you guys spent a while trying to get a feel for...
That we what?
That you guys spent a while just trying to get a feel for Chet being back?
Yeah, I don't know about a while, but if you insert a player like him into the mix after this amount of time off, especially with playing most of his minutes at the 4. Most of his existence here has been as the 5. We played him with Hart most of the night. We played him with Jay Will some of the night. He played very few minutes at the 5. And so that's we're at square zero with that, really. And we've got to work ourselves through that as he integrates back into the team. But we think that that's got some upside, and we'll continue to invest in it because of that. But we're not asking for it to be perfect. It's one of those things that if it requires one step backwards to take 2 steps forward, we're willing to do that because we think it's got a really high ceiling.
And I don't remember Shea, and maybe this is a ripple effect of Chet being back, but I don't remember Shea and Dub ever really sharing those lineups that Shea's usually out there with, like Jay Will and Joe and those guys. Is that sort of a ripple effect of Chet being back, or what went into that decision?
Sharing what lineups?
Shea just being on the floor with Dub in the end of the first. And
I just extended Dub, which I'll sometimes do in the third. I did that more in the third tonight, but Dub still played his normal rotation to start the second and fourth. Shea was still out to start the second and fourth, so I thought it was pretty standard. I extended Dub a little bit, and that's why he ended up out there with those guys.
Went pretty big for most of the night. What did you just think about that dynamic that it asked you guys' team? Pretty much the first time this year.
Yeah, it was the first time this year, so. We're going to learn. That's the biggest thing is we're trying to learn. The good news is as we learn about it and explore it, and as we work through some things, because obviously you're not going to just hit the ground running on something like that. It's still high impact. It's really, really hard to get around the basket on those guys. It should be good on the glass. It wasn't great tonight, but it will be. And then offensively, we'll work through it. While not abandoning the fact that we've got Hart that can play the 5 exclusively, and we've got Chet that can play the 5, and we've got Jay Will in the mix as well. And we know what those are. We've got a much larger sample on those, so tonight gave us a good look at big lineups.
You mentioned some of the hurdles with Chet coming back, just lower body injury and just sort of getting back into rhythm. Is there any extra challenge or extra hurdle ahead for him just because you guys have been on such a roll recently and really just, I guess, almost full speed on the treadmill?
Well, I think to reiterate what I said to Nick, I thought number one, he's returned to play, but he's not returned to performance. This is part of his return, because he needs game minutes at this point to recondition himself and to reload himself and get himself ready to play at the level that he was playing at when he got hurt. You don't just come off an injury like that at the level. That's after a summer and training camp and 9 games. But again, I thought his maturity and respect for the team was what was on display tonight. I thought he did a great job of just coming in, blending into the guys, and again, showing great respect for the work the guys have done while he's been out, and the success the team's had while he's been out. I thought tonight showed a great deal about him as a teammate.
What else we got? Riley, go ahead.
What have you seen from Alex Caruso this season and tonight offensively?
He banged in some shots tonight, which was good. He finds those cuts and rolls and all the junk that the system can give you. He's got a great feel for that. He's an activity player on offense. I think he really helps your system on the offensive end of the floor, and so that's a good thing. You need that, and we've had a lot of success with guys like that are willing to screen, willing to cut, willing to space, willing to move the ball. Thought he did great. The one he found Wiggins on tonight, is the one that stands out. He lets the break develop. He gets him a wide open 3. Wiggs missed it, but there's a reason why the scoreboard usually moves in the right direction when he's on the court.